So hello friends, myself Dr. Linu Dubey, and today I am going to teach you about molecular basis of inheritance. I have been giving lecture on this molecular basis of inheritance since 3 classes, and the target audience is your 12th biology, means 12 class students, CBSE board. Today I am going to teach about this Michelson and Stahls experiment and also a brief about DNA replications for a class 12 student. And what are the contents which I am going to cover? These are Watson and Crick model for semi-conservative DNA replication, Michelson and Stahl experiment, enzyme used for DNA replication, process of DNA replication, and questions and answer. So first we should know what this Watson and Crick model is. Actually, Watson and Crick, they propose a model for semi-conservative replication of DNA. Means DNA replicates in semi-conservative way. So what was this hypothesis mean? Semi-conservative means that each strand acts as template for the synthesis of your new strand. So but no experimental proof was there for it. So here in the figure you can see I have shown you this is your parent DNA, and this is your daughter DNA. This red color is your daughter DNA and blue is your parent DNA. So each strand, from each strand it gets separates, and again your new strands builds up. So these are known as daughter DNA. So this is your actually semi-conservative DNA replication. So this Michelson and Stahl in 1958 they wanted to test this hypothesis and they designed an experiment. So let's see what this experiment is. Michelson and Stahl experiment is also known as your density transfer experiment. So what is the basis of this experiment? Basis is that your purine and pyrimidine, it contains your nitrogen. So DNA grown on medium containing heavy isotope of nitrogen, that is N15, will have greater density, means weight per unit volume will be more than the DNA grown in medium containing light isotope, that is N14. So what is the process they used? They used this equilibrium density gradient centrifugation, which separates molecules of different density. So Michelson and Stahl studied these changes in density of DNA of cells grown in N15 and N14 for various periods of time. That's why the experiment is also known as your density transfer experiment. So how did they do this experiment? By this N15, which is heavy nitrogen, isotope of nitrogen, and N14, which is a heavy isotope of a light isotope of nitrogen, they can be distinguished by centrifugation in cesium chloride density gradient. So this Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl, they conducted this experiment with E. coli in 1958. They grew many generations of E. coli in medium that contain your heavy isotope of nitrogen, and the outcome was that this heavy isotope of nitrogen was incorporated into newly synthesized DNA after several generations. Then this cells, that is heavy isotope of nitrogen, was then transferred in the medium containing your light isotope, that is N14. For varying periods of time, means different periods of time, the cell was grown in N14 medium, and then it was subjected to cesium chloride density gradient centrifugation. So here in the figure I have shown you that N15, it is grown in heavy medium for several generations. At 0 minutes it is having parent containing both heavy DNA, that is N15. When we transfer to light medium, after 20 minutes your hybrid or intermediate form of DNA was there, that N15 and N14, and this one strand was N15 and one strand was N14. And after 40 minutes it was found that half was light DNA, half was your light DNA, and other half was your intermediate DNA. This is your intermediate DNA. So when they tested it this on gel, they found that this heavy DNA is in lower side and intermediate is in the middle, and 50% your in the F2 generation it was 50% light and 50% hybrid type was there, that containing both your heavy nitrogen and light nitrogen. So after 2 generations of F2 growth in N14 medium, half light and half hybrid DNA was observed, and this was per Watson and Crick semi-conservative model. So this is what semi-conservative model of It's very easy to understand. So let's study now what is DNA replication and what are the enzymes used for DNA replication. DNA replication means making more DNA. So where does it occur? It occurs both in eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell is having nucleus, but prokaryotic is not having nucleus, even though it is having in both the cases. Then DNA replication, a cell needs to replicate itself. Why does a cell needs to replicate itself? So that new daughter cells also gets a copy of DNA. So here you can see I have drawn this cell cycle, and in the cell cycle this is the interphase. This your light, this ash color, you can see this is the interphase. Here cell grow and nuclear DNA is replicated, and under this cell growth the DNA synthesis take place, and then finally in mitosis and cytokinesis the final process occurs. So these are G1, G2 and S phase. So in what happens in S phase, each chromosome, there is 46 chromosome, they duplicate cells by cell, they get duplicated. Then in G1, cellular contents excluding the chromosomes, they are duplicated. Then finally in G2, the cell double checks the duplicated chromosome for the error making, means error is error repair mechanism occurs, means we have to check that whether any duplicated chromosomes is also made. And finally it goes to your mitosis phase, where your replication of DNA occurs. And then in cytokinesis, the cytoplasm, it gets separated. So this is how your DNA replicates, and where it DNA replicates I have mentioned it. In the next, there are some enzymes which are the key players in DNA replication. So what are the enzymes? The enzymes are the chemicals which speed up reaction and build or break the items they act on. There are different types of enzymes like helicase, DNA polymerase, primase and ligase. So helicase, it is known as your unzipping enzyme because it breaks hydrogen bond that holds DNA base together. DNA polymerase, it replicates DNA molecules to actually build a new strand, and it is around 2000 base pair per second it builds your new adds new nucleotides to it. Primase, it makes primer so that DNA polymerase can figure out, means DNA polymerase wants short nucleotide strands so that it starts adding more nucleotides. So primase, it makes primer of the short nucleotide strands, and then DNA polymerase figures, oh yes, we have to go there, and now I have to start my work here, and I have to start adding more nucleotides so the DNA strands can be the daughter DNA strand can be made from the parent DNA. So this is a rule of your primase. Ligase, it acts as your glue. It joins DNA strands together by catalyzing the formation of phosphodiester bond. Then it repairs single strand breaks in the duplex DNA, and then join together the Okazaki fragments which are formed on the lagging strand. So here is a figure, step by step I have shown how DNA replication take place. So this is the origin of replication. Here helicase comes and binds, and it breaks the hydrogen bond between the two parent strain, and then your single strand binding protein comes and bind to this single strand so that it keeps the two strands separate. And then this topoisomerase, it keeps the DNA prevent DNA from supercoiling, as the DNA has the tendency to supercoil itself, keep itself supercoil in the cell. So topoisomerase, it prevents it from supercoiling, otherwise no replication will take place, because DNA will not separate, and unless the DNA parent strand will not separate, there will be no replication. And finally primase, what does it do? It gives primers, and the primers are the short nucleotide strands to which again your DNA polymerase comes and binds, and then your replication starts. So two types of replications are there in your DNA. One is called your leading strand, another is called your lagging strand. So in leading strand, you can see here, this is the template strand which goes from the 3' to 5' direction. So DNA polymerase builds strands from 5 prime to 3 prime direction. It means it adds new bases to your 3 prime and it goes on building the nucleotides. So leading strand is actually the first strand, and this parent strand runs in 3 prime to your 5 prime direction towards 4. This is your 4. So towards 4 and is able to replicate continuously. So we can say that leading strand is equal to 3 prime to 5 prime direction, which is equal to your replication fork, which is also is from the 3 prime to 5 prime direction. So now next is your lagging strand, which is also known as Okazaki fragments. So this Okazaki fragments, it occurs in a discontinuous way. Why? Because they are short sequence of DNA nucleotides and they are synthesized discontinuously, because the lagging strand needs to be replicated in the opposite direction. So in the way of means the opposite to the replication fork. But DNA polymerase, it can proceed only in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction only. So to use as a continuous template. So how it will do? Therefore short fragments are produced and this replication fork expands. So this is the lagging strand, and here you can see I have shown this is the lagging strand, it is built. This is the leading strand, this is replication, this is your replication fork. This is polymerase 1 and this is polymerase 3 I have shown, and this is ligase which builds which blocks, we can say which joins, not blocks, which joins this your Okazaki fragments together, and finally your once parents daughter strand is built up. So what is the role of this DNA polymerase 3 and 1? The DNA polymerase 3 is essential for replication of leading and lagging strand, whereas DNA polymerase 1, it is essential for the fragments, means it is essential for removing the RNA primers. It removes the RNA primers and from the fragments and replicate, replacing it with your new nucleotide. RNA polymerase. So both RNA polymerase 3 and 1 are important. So here is a few questions I have mentioned, very small questions, so that you have understood or not you can check yourself. First question is, give the name of the types of synthesis A and B in the replication fork as shown below. Here you can see in the figure. So this is A is your continuous and B is discontinuous. You can understand very simple way. Mention the polarity of the DNA strands from A to B and again from C to D in the replication fork here. So A to B is 3 prime to 5 prime, while C D is 5 prime to 3 prime. So again, explain two factors responsible for conferring stability to double helix structure. They are hydrogen bond between nitrogenous base and stacking of one base over the another. And fourth is, write the sequence of messenger RNA from the coding strand in transcription unit. So here this coding strand has been given. So if messenger RNA, it will be uracil. Instead of T, U will be there. So the ATGC it is given. Instead of T, you will write U. Simple. So I hope you have understood. I have tried to make you understand in very simple way. So lots to learn. Keep learning. If you have liked my video, subscribe it so that you can watch the upcoming videos. Thank you.